The Alliance. On a clear, bright day, the skies above Earth glimmered with hope. A spaceship descended through the atmosphere, its silver hull shining under the sun. Inside, Princess Lyra of Zenthra stood at the control panel, her heart racing with excitement and nerves. She was on a mission to Earth, and it was the most important journey of her life. Lyra was not just any princess. She was the daughter of the king of Zenthra, a beautiful planet known for its peaceful people and advanced technology. The Zenthrians had long watched Earth from afar, fascinated by its diversity and spirit. But now, with a common enemy, the brutal Raxans threatening both worlds, it was time to unite. Lyra hoped to form an alliance that would bring peace to both planets. As the spaceship landed softly on a secluded patch of land, Lyra looked out of the window. The greenery of Earth was a sight to behold. Trees swayed gently in the breeze, and birds sang sweet melodies. This place was alive, and it filled Lyra with joy. But she knew her mission was serious. The fate of both worlds rested on her shoulders. Once she stepped out of the ship, Lyra was greeted by a group of humans. They were dressed in military uniforms, their faces showing both curiosity and caution. Among them was a tall, strong man with deep brown eyes and a warm smile. His name was Alex, and he was a leader among the humans. "Welcome, Princess Lyra," Alex said, bowing slightly. "We are honored to have you here." "Thank you, Alex," Lyra replied, her voice steady. "I come with an urgent message. We must unite against the Raxans. They will not stop until they conquer both our worlds." The humans exchanged glances, some nodding in agreement. Lyra felt a spark of hope ignite within her. If they could work together, they might have a chance. As they walked towards a large tent set up for the meeting, Lyra and Alex talked about their cultures. Lyra learned about Earth's history, its struggles, and its triumphs. Alex shared stories of brave humans who had fought to protect their planet. Lyra listened intently, fascinated by the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Once inside the tent, the leaders of the human military gathered around a table. Maps of both Zenthra and Earth were spread out before them. Lyra explained her plan to form a united front against the Raxans. She spoke passionately, her eyes shining with determination. "If we combine our forces, we can defend our worlds," Lyra urged. "Zenthra has advanced technology that can enhance your weapons. Together, we can create a powerful army." The humans murmured among themselves, weighing the princess's words. Alex stood up, his expression serious. "We are willing to work with you, Princess Lyra. But trust must be built between our people first. The Raxans are cunning and will try to take advantage of any division between us." Lyra nodded. She understood the importance of trust. "I will do everything I can to prove our loyalty," she promised. Days passed as Lyra and the humans prepared for the alliance. They trained together, sharing techniques and strategies. Lyra admired the humans' bravery and their fierce dedication to protecting their planet. In turn, the humans were impressed by the Zenthrians' advanced technology and their commitment to peace. During the training sessions, Lyra and Alex grew closer. They shared laughter and stories, finding common ground despite their different worlds. Lyra felt a connection with Alex that she had never felt before. His courage inspired her, and she admired how he led his people with kindness and strength. One evening, as the sun set, casting a golden hue over the training grounds, Lyra and Alex took a break. They sat on a grassy hill, watching the sky change colors. Lyra turned to Alex, her heart full. "I never imagined I would find such friendship on Earth," she said softly. Alex smiled, his eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "And I never thought an alien princess could feel so human." Their laughter echoed in the air, a beautiful sound that seemed to chase away the dark clouds of the Raxan threat. But deep down, Lyra knew the danger was real, and time was running out. The next day, as the alliance continued to strengthen, a shadow loomed over the horizon. Reports came in of Raxan scouts moving closer to Earth. Panic spread among the humans, and they rushed to prepare for battle. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the Raxans were not far behind. "Stay strong," Alex said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We will face this together." As the sun rose on the day of reckoning, Lyra stood ready beside Alex and the human soldiers. They were united, but the true test of their alliance was about to begin. The fate of both Earth and Zenthra hung in the balance, and Lyra would do everything in her power to protect her new friends. The princess took a deep breath, her heart pounding with anticipation. With Alex by her side and the strength of their alliance behind her, Lyra felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would stand against the Raxans, and nothing would break the bond they had forged. The battle for their worlds was about to begin. Shadows of betrayal. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm golden light on the training grounds. Lyra stood at the edge of the camp, watching the humans prepare for the impending battle. Their faces showed determination, but she could also see hints of fear. The news of Raxan scouts had spread quickly, and worry hung in the air like a heavy fog. Lyra felt a mix of emotions twirling inside her. She was proud of the alliance they had built, but anxiety gnawed at her. What if the humans couldn't trust her people? What if their efforts were not enough to stop the Raxans? She took a deep breath, trying to steady her thoughts. They had to remain united, for both their worlds depended on it. "Princess Lyra," a voice called out. It was Alex, moving through the camp with purpose. His eyes were focused, but he still managed a reassuring smile when he saw her. "Are you ready for today's strategy meeting?" "Yes," she replied, pushing her worries aside. "I'm ready." As they entered the large tent, the atmosphere shifted. The human leaders gathered around the table, their expressions serious. Maps and reports were laid out, detailing the movements of the Raxan forces. Lyra took her place among them, feeling the weight of her responsibility. "We've intercepted messages from the Raxans," Alex began, pointing to the map. "They plan to strike at dawn tomorrow. We need to be prepared." Lyra's heart sank. The Raxans were more organized than they had anticipated. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice steady. "How can we stop them?" "We need to set up defensive positions along their expected route," Alex suggested. "Our combined forces can create a stronghold that will slow them down. If we can draw them into a narrow area, we'll have the advantage." Lyra nodded, impressed by the strategy. "And my people can use their advanced technology to reinforce those defenses. We can create barriers that will confuse and slow them." The leaders worked together, drafting plans and assigning roles. Lyra felt a sense of hope as they collaborated, their ideas blending into a strong defense. They were no longer just humans and Zenthrians. They were allies fighting for a common cause. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting deep shadows across the camp, Lyra and Alex took a moment to themselves. They stepped outside, the air cool and crisp. "Do you think we'll be ready?" Lyra asked, glancing at the stars that began to twinkle in the darkening sky. "What if the Raxans come in full force?" Alex turned to her, his expression serious but soft. "We will be ready. We have each other, and we have a plan. We'll face whatever comes together." Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest. Alex's confidence made her feel stronger. They stood in silence for a moment, the stars above them shining brightly, like tiny beacons of hope. Suddenly, a loud noise shattered the quiet. A group of soldiers ran towards them, their faces pale with fear. "The Raxans. They're here," one of them shouted, breathless. Panic erupted in the camp as people scrambled to their positions. Lyra's heart raced. "We need to gather everyone. Prepare for battle," she commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. She and Alex moved quickly, rallying the soldiers and preparing them for the fight. Lyra felt adrenaline surge through her veins. This was the moment they had trained for, and she would not back down. As the first light of dawn broke, the sound of Raxan ships echoed in the distance. Dark shapes appeared in the sky, growing larger as they approached. Lyra's heart sank at the sight of the enemy fleet, their ships like monstrous shadows against the brightening sky. "Stay focused," Alex shouted, moving among the soldiers. "Remember your training. We will not back down." Lyra took her place at the front lines, her determination growing with each passing second. She could see the Raxans preparing to land, their fierce warriors ready for battle. But she also saw her own soldiers, standing strong and united. Just as the first Raxan ship touched down, Lyra heard a commotion behind her. A figure stepped forward from the shadows, one she recognized all too well. It was Zarek, a former ally from Zenthra who had turned rogue. His presence sent chills down her spine. "Zarek," she called, her voice laced with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" Zarek smirked, his eyes glinting with malice. "I've come to see the end of your little alliance, Princess. You think you can trust the humans. They will betray you, just like I did." Anger surged through Lyra. "You're wrong, Zarek. We're united, and we will fight for our worlds." He laughed, a cold, bitter sound. "We'll see about that. Your precious alliance will crumble before the day ends." Before Lyra could respond, the battle erupted. Raxan soldiers poured out of their ships, their fierce cries ringing through the air. The humans and Zenthrians rallied together, ready to defend their home. The ground shook with the impact of explosions as the two forces clashed. Lyra fought alongside Alex, their movements synchronized as they defended against the Raxan onslaught. She felt the adrenaline rush through her, pushing her forward. As the battle raged on, Lyra caught glimpses of Zarek, moving through the chaos with ease. He was a skilled fighter, and she knew he would stop at nothing to see her fail. "Focus on the fight," Alex shouted, his voice breaking through her thoughts. "We can't let them overwhelm us." Lyra nodded, determination surging within her. She would not let Zarek's betrayal define her. She fought harder, drawing strength from her allies, from the bond they had forged. But in the back of her mind, doubts crept in. Would Zarek's words ring true? Could this alliance truly survive the chaos? She pushed the thoughts away, focusing on the battle ahead. They had come too far to give in now. As the sun rose higher in the sky, the fate of both Earth and Zenthra hung in the balance. Lyra was determined to prove that their alliance was strong enough to withstand any storm. With Alex by her side and their united forces fighting together, she would fight to protect what they had built. The shadows of betrayal loomed, but Lyra would stand firm. They were more than allies. They were family now, and nothing would tear them apart. A divided front. The battle raged on, echoing through the air like a storm. Explosions lit the sky, sending plumes of smoke rising into the atmosphere. Lyra fought side by side with Alex, their weapons clashing against the fierce Raxan soldiers. The sounds of war surrounded them, cries of pain, shouts of commands, and the whirring of technology. As the dust settled, Lyra caught sight of Zarek, weaving through the chaos like a shadow. His sneer cut through the noise, a reminder of betrayal lurking just beneath the surface. She tightened her grip on her weapon, determined not to let him distract her. "Stay focused, Lyra," Alex yelled, fending off a group of Raxan warriors. "We have to hold the line." Nodding, Lyra turned her attention back to the battle. She fought fiercely, her movements fluid and calculated. Together with the humans and Zenthrians, they pushed back against the Raxan forces. But despite their efforts, the enemy pressed forward, relentless in their attack. In the thick of the fight, Lyra saw a group of human soldiers faltering. Their formation was breaking, fear evident in their eyes. She knew they could not afford to lose their courage. Gathering her resolve, she sprinted toward them, shouting encouragement. "Hold your ground. We fight for each other. Remember what we are protecting." Lyra's voice rang clear, cutting through the clamor. With renewed determination, the soldiers rallied, their fear transforming into strength. Lyra felt a rush of pride, knowing they were not just fighting for survival, but for unity. But then, a scream pierced the air, freezing her blood. A young soldier had been struck down by a Raxan warrior, and Lyra's heart sank. She rushed forward, anger surging through her veins as she confronted the Raxan who had caused the chaos. "Get away from him," she shouted, swinging her weapon with fury. The Raxan warrior turned, eyes wide with surprise, but it was too late. Lyra struck, her blade cutting through the air and finding its mark. The warrior fell, and she stood over him, breathless but unyielding. But the victory was short-lived. Behind her, Zarek's mocking laughter echoed through the chaos. "Is this what you call a united front, princess? Your humans are nothing but sheep." Fury ignited within her. "I will not let you divide us, Zarek," she shouted, searching for him in the throng of fighters. Their eyes met, and Zarek sneered, his expression filled with contempt. "You think you can change their minds? They will always see you as an outsider." Lyra felt her heart race. Doubts clawed at her mind, but she shook them off. "I am their ally, and we fight together." Zarek lunged at her, but Lyra was ready. She sidestepped, using his momentum against him, and countered with a swift strike. Their blades clashed, sending sparks flying. "You're wrong, Zarek. You're the one who betrayed our trust." As they fought, the sound of the battle around them began to fade. Lyra focused on Zarek, remembering the bond they once shared. They had fought together for Zenthra's future, but now he had chosen to stand against everything they had built. Zarek's movements were sharp, but Lyra was fueled by determination. "I won't let you win," she yelled, pushing him back with all her strength. But Zarek only laughed, his eyes gleaming with malice. "This is just the beginning, Lyra. You will see your alliance fall, and I will be there to watch it burn." Just then, a loud explosion rocked the battlefield, shaking the ground beneath them. Lyra stumbled, losing her balance. Zarek seized the moment, charging forward, but Alex intervened, stepping in front of Lyra. "The darkness, get behind me," Alex shouted, clashing with Zarek. Their swords met with a metallic clang, sparks flying as they fought fiercely. Lyra watched, her heart pounding as she realized how close they were to losing everything. In that instant, she saw the fear in the eyes of her allies. The Raxans were regrouping, and their numbers were overwhelming. Lyra felt a surge of desperation wash over her. "We need to retreat," she shouted, trying to rally her people. "We can regroup and plan our next move." But Alex shook his head, determination etched on his face. "No, we can't let them chase us away. We fight now, or we lose everything." Realizing the truth in his words, Lyra steeled herself. "Then we hold the line. Together." With renewed strength, Lyra and Alex fought side by side, their movements synchronized. The humans and Zenthrians rallied around them, their resolve solidifying in the face of the enemy. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for each other, for their shared future. As the battle intensified, Lyra felt the tide turning. Her allies stood firm, pushing back against the Raxan forces. She fought with everything she had, knowing that failure was not an option. But Zarek's presence lingered like a shadow, reminding her of the betrayal that had brought them to this moment. Would they be able to withstand the storm he had unleashed? With each swing of her weapon, Lyra's determination grew. She would not let Zarek's betrayal destroy what they had built. Together with her allies, she would stand firm against the chaos and fight for their worlds. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a crimson glow across the battlefield, Lyra knew that the fight was far from over. But as long as they stood united, they had a chance. The shadows of betrayal loomed overhead, but Lyra was determined to turn the tide. They would face whatever came next together, united in their struggle against the heart of the storm. The battlefield was a whirlwind of chaos, and Lyra felt every ounce of fear and anger surge through her as the fight raged on. She fought alongside Alex, each swing of their weapons creating a rhythm of unity against the relentless Raxan onslaught. But even as they pushed forward, Lyra couldn't shake the shadow of Zarek from her mind. Stay close, Alex shouted, ducking under a Raxan soldier's strike. Lyra nodded, her focus sharpening. She knew they couldn't afford to lose each other amidst the chaos. They moved together, side by side, cutting down enemies with precision. Lyra could feel the bond between them growing stronger with each fight, but she also felt the weight of their struggle. They were fighting for survival, not just against the Raxans, but against the doubt that threatened to creep in. Lyra, Alex called, pointing towards a group of Zenthrian soldiers struggling against a pack of Raxans. We need to help them. With a determined nod, Lyra followed him. As they reached the group, she raised her weapon, shouting, "For Zenthra." The Zenthrians rallied, bolstered by her call, and together they pushed back against the enemy. But in the midst of the battle, Lyra spotted Zarek again, a wicked smile plastered on his face. He was standing back, directing the Raxan forces like a puppeteer pulling strings. Rage bubbled inside her as she realized he had orchestrated this chaos. "Zarek," Lyra shouted, her voice cutting through the clamor. "You coward! Face us." Zarek turned, a glint of surprise flickering across his face. "Ah, the mighty princess thinks she can challenge me. How cute." "Enough games," Lyra roared, feeling the fire of determination ignite within her. "You've betrayed us, and you will pay for it." The ground shook as Zarek raised his hand, signaling the Raxans to increase their assault. Lyra felt the tide of battle shift once again, but she would not be deterred. "We can't let him win," she yelled to Alex and the others. "We need a plan," Alex said, breathing heavily as they fought back to back. "We can't keep fighting like this. We need to take him down, or this will never end." Lyra nodded, her mind racing. "If we can get to him, we can disrupt his control over the Raxans. We just need to reach him before it's too late." Together, they cut a path through the enemy lines, Lyra's heart pounding in her chest. The air was thick with smoke and the cries of battle, but she focused only on Zarek. Each step brought them closer, and with each fallen Raxan, her resolve grew stronger. Suddenly, an explosion erupted nearby, sending debris flying. Lyra ducked just in time, but when she looked up, Alex was gone. Panic seized her heart as she searched the chaos, desperately scanning the battlefield for his familiar figure. "Alex," she screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the noise around her. She pushed forward, determined not to let fear hold her back. The world around her was a blur of color and sound, but she pressed on. The weight of the fight felt heavier without Alex by her side, but she couldn't afford to falter now. Finally, she spotted Zarek again, standing amidst a cluster of Raxan soldiers, his laugh ringing out like a bell. Rage surged within her as she fought her way toward him, slicing through any enemy in her path. "You're going to regret this, Lyra," Zarek shouted, his eyes gleaming with malice. "You think you can stop me? I am destined for power. Power gained through betrayal is no power at all." Lyra shouted back, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she surged forward. With a final push, she broke through the last line of Raxans, standing face to face with Zarek. He looked surprised, his confidence faltering as he realized how close she had come. "You should have stayed in the shadows, princess," he sneered. "You've made a grave mistake." "Not as grave as yours," Lyra replied, her voice steady as she raised her weapon. "You've underestimated the strength of our alliance." Zarek lunged at her, but Lyra sidestepped, her training kicking in. She had learned to anticipate her opponents, and now it was her turn to strike. With a swift motion, she countered his attack, their blades clashing with a loud clang. The two fought fiercely, their swords a blur as they exchanged blows. Lyra felt every ounce of anger and betrayal fueling her, and she refused to let Zarek win. "You think you can defeat me?" he spat, sweat glistening on his forehead. "You're just a weak little princess." "Maybe," Lyra replied, her breath steadying as she found her rhythm. "But I am not alone." With a powerful swing, she pushed Zarek back, causing him to stumble. In that moment, she caught a glimpse of Alex, fighting valiantly against a group of Raxans. Relief flooded her heart, but there was no time to waste. She had to end this fight. "Zarek," she yelled, her voice cutting through the noise. "This ends now." With a final surge of strength, Lyra struck, her blade finding its mark. Zarek gasped, eyes widening in disbelief. "No, this cannot be." As he fell, the Raxans around them hesitated, their morale shaken. Lyra felt a wave of hope wash over her. She had done it. The tide was turning. "Now," she shouted to the remaining soldiers, "we push forward, together." As Lyra rallied her allies, she knew the battle was far from over. But they had struck a blow against the enemy, and together they would fight for their worlds. With Alex by her side, Lyra felt invincible. The storm was fierce, but she had the strength of her people behind her. Together, they would stand against the darkness. The turning tide. The battle raged on, but Lyra's heart soared as she felt the tide turning in their favor. With Zarek defeated, the Raxan forces began to falter, confusion spreading among their ranks. Lyra rallied her troops, her voice rising above the chaos. "Now is our chance. For Zenthra," she shouted, and her words ignited a fire in the hearts of her soldiers. They surged forward, pushing back against the enemy with newfound strength. Lyra fought alongside her allies, feeling the pulse of determination in every swing of her sword. She was no longer just a princess. She was a leader, a warrior. Each Raxan they defeated brought them closer to freedom. "Lyra," Alex called out, fighting his way to her side. His face was bruised but determined. "I saw you take down Zarek. You were amazing." "Thanks," Lyra replied, a smile breaking through the tension. "But there's still a lot to do. We need to drive them back." Together, they pressed on, cutting through the chaos. Lyra could see her Zenthrian soldiers finding their courage, fighting with renewed vigor. The sound of clashing metal and cries of victory filled the air, drowning out the fear that had gripped them moments before. Suddenly, a group of Raxans regrouped, charging at them with a fierce battle cry. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine, but she stood firm, her resolve unshaken. "Form a line," she ordered, raising her weapon. The Zenthrians quickly fell into formation, creating a wall of shields and swords. "Hold your ground." As the Raxans approached, Lyra's heart raced. She remembered the training her father had given her. She focused on her breathing, steadying herself as she prepared for the oncoming attack. The clash was brutal, but Lyra fought with everything she had. Each swing of her sword felt like a testament to her people's strength. She glanced at Alex, who was battling valiantly beside her. His face was set with determination, and she felt a surge of pride. They were a team, fighting for a common cause. "Keep pushing," Lyra shouted, inspiring her troops. They fought back fiercely, their spirits lifted by the momentum of their victory over Zarek. As the Raxans began to retreat, Lyra felt a swell of hope. "We can win this," she yelled, and her soldiers echoed her battle cry, their voices blending together in a chorus of defiance. But just as victory seemed within reach, a loud roar erupted from the battlefield. Lyra turned, her heart sinking as she saw a massive Raxan war machine rolling toward them, its guns primed and ready. "Fall back. Everyone, fall back," she shouted, panic rising in her chest. The Raxan war machine was unlike anything she had ever seen, and its size alone was enough to instill fear. The Zenthrians hesitated, looking at Lyra for guidance. She took a deep breath, her mind racing. "We can't let fear take hold. We've faced worse than this." But as the war machine approached, its cannons firing, Lyra realized they needed a new strategy. "We need to find a way to disable it. If we can take it down, we'll break their morale." "I can create a distraction," Alex suggested, his eyes gleaming with determination. "If I can draw its fire, you can get close and take out its controls." "Are you sure?" Lyra asked, concern etching her features. It's the only way, Alex replied, a confident smile on his face. Trust me. With a heavy heart, Lyra nodded. Be careful. As Alex darted away, Lyra focused on gathering her soldiers. Listen up. We need to split into two groups. One will support Alex and create a diversion. The other will prepare to strike when the time is right. The soldiers quickly moved into position, their spirits bolstered by Lyra's leadership. Lyra felt a mix of pride and fear as she watched Alex bravely draw closer to the war machine. She couldn't afford to lose him. Not now. Now, Lyra shouted, signaling her group to charge. They rushed toward the war machine, weapons raised, and ready to fight. Alex, meanwhile, was darting around, dodging blasts from the war machine. He was like a shadow, moving quickly and cleverly. Lyra could see him drawing the machine's attention, the enormous cannon turning to track his movements. Keep it focused on him. Lyra yelled to her soldiers, we need to give him cover. With a fierce determination, Lyra led her group forward, launching their attack on the war machine's weaker spots. Blasts rang out, and the Zenthrians fought bravely, distracting the Raxans and buying Alex the time he needed. Lyra watched as Alex slipped behind the machine, using the chaos to his advantage. Come on, Alex, she urged silently, praying for his success. Finally, she saw him reach the control panel, desperately trying to disable the beast. The war machine began to shake, and Lyra felt a rush of hope. But just then, a Raxan soldier spotted Alex. Stop him, it yelled, rushing toward him. No, Lyra shouted, pushing forward with all her strength. She had to protect him. Get away from him. With a swift movement, Lyra plunged her sword into the approaching Raxan, feeling the rush of adrenaline as she saved Alex. Go now, she cried, urging him to finish the task. With one last burst of effort, Alex hit the control panel, and the war machine erupted in a shower of sparks and flames. Lyra felt a wave of triumph as the machine began to malfunction, its cannon firing wildly into the air before it finally crumpled to the ground. The Raxans, witnessing their war machine's destruction, began to retreat in panic. Lyra's heart raced with victory, the fear of defeat replaced by a powerful sense of hope. We can do this, she shouted, rallying her soldiers. Let's finish this fight. As they charged forward, Lyra knew that they had struck a significant blow against the Raxan forces. The tide of the battle had truly turned, and together they would push onward until freedom was theirs. The price of vengeance. With the Raxan war machine in ruins, the Zenthrian forces surged forward, propelled by their newfound hope. Victory felt close, but Lyra knew that the battle was not over. She could see the Raxans regrouping, their fear quickly turning into anger. They would not give up easily. Stay alert, Lyra called to her soldiers. They will retaliate. As expected, the Raxans began to regroup, rallying their remaining troops for one final assault. Lyra's heart raced as she observed their fierce expressions. They were desperate now, fighting for their survival. Lyra turned to Alex, who was panting beside her. Are you okay? She asked, noticing the bruises and scrapes on his face. I'm fine, he replied, though his voice was strained. But we need to keep pushing. We can't let them regain their strength. Lyra nodded, determined. We will fight until the very end. For Zenthra. She raised her sword, and her soldiers echoed her battle cry, their voices ringing through the battlefield. The Raxan commander, a towering figure with fierce red eyes, stepped forward, rallying his troops. For the glory of Raxus, he roared, his voice booming across the field. The Raxans charged, weapons raised high, and the air crackled with tension. Brace yourselves, Lyra shouted, gripping her sword tightly. She felt the weight of leadership resting on her shoulders, the responsibility of her people driving her forward. As the two sides collided, chaos erupted once more. Lyra fought with all her strength, every swing of her sword fueled by the memories of her fallen comrades and the determination to protect her home. She fought alongside Alex, their movements in sync as they cut through the ranks of Raxans. But amidst the clashing weapons and battle cries, Lyra felt a pang of uncertainty. The Raxans were relentless, and their numbers seemed endless. She glanced at her soldiers. Fatigue was starting to show on their faces. "We can't give up," Lyra shouted, trying to inspire her troops. "We are Zenthrians. We will not be defeated." Just then, she spotted the Raxan commander making his way toward them, his sword gleaming ominously. Lyra's heart sank. He was strong, and his presence was instilling fear in her soldiers. "We need to take him down," Alex yelled, his voice filled with urgency. "If we can defeat their leader, it might break their morale." "Then let's go," Lyra replied, determination flooding her veins. They charged toward the commander, cutting through the chaos that surrounded them. As they approached, the commander turned, locking eyes with Lyra. She felt a chill run down her spine, but she refused to back down. "You will pay for your defiance," he snarled, raising his sword high. Lyra met his gaze, her resolve unwavering. "Not today," she shouted, launching herself at him. The clash of their swords echoed like thunder, a fierce dance of strength and skill. Lyra pushed herself, drawing on every ounce of training her father had given her. But the commander was powerful, each strike sending vibrations through her body. "Is this the best Zenthra has to offer?" he mocked, his voice dripping with disdain. "Your princess is weak." Lyra's anger flared at his words. "I will show you what Zenthra is capable of." She swung her sword again, her strikes growing more precise and aggressive. She had to prove him wrong, not just for herself, but for her people. Suddenly, Lyra heard a shout behind her. She turned just in time to see one of her soldiers being overpowered by a Raxan. "Lyra!" Alex shouted, but she was already moving, darting to help her comrade. In the chaos, Lyra fought off the Raxan, but the distraction gave the commander the opportunity he needed. He swung his sword, and Lyra felt a sharp pain across her arm as he caught her off guard. She staggered back, gritting her teeth against the pain. "See, weakness is your fate," the commander taunted, advancing toward her. "No," Alex yelled, charging at the commander with fierce determination. Lyra watched as Alex launched himself at the commander, but in doing so, he left himself open to attack. "Alex!" Lyra cried, fear gripping her heart. In one swift movement, the commander turned, his sword slicing through the air toward Alex. Time seemed to slow as Lyra reached out in horror. "No," she screamed, desperation fueling her. But it was too late. Alex fell to the ground, pain etched across his face. Lyra's heart shattered as she rushed to his side, her blood running cold. "Alex!" "No." She cradled his head in her lap, her mind racing with fear. The Raxan commander laughed, a cold, cruel sound that echoed across the battlefield. "You see, your precious human is nothing but a pawn. And now he will die for your failure." Lyra felt a surge of rage unlike anything she had ever experienced. "You will pay for this," she roared, standing up to face the commander once more. Fueled by grief and anger, she launched herself at him, striking with a ferocity she had never known. The air around her crackled with determination as she fought not just for her people, but for Alex, for everything they had fought for together. The clash of metal rang out as she pushed him back, striking again and again. She could feel her heart racing, her spirit burning with the need for vengeance. As the Raxan commander stumbled back, a look of surprise on his face, Lyra knew this was her moment. With one final powerful swing, she struck him down, the weight of her grief and fury releasing as he fell to the ground. The battlefield went silent for a moment, and then a cheer erupted from the Zenthrians. They had witnessed their princess's strength, and hope surged through them. But as Lyra looked down at Alex, lying motionless on the ground, the victory felt hollow. The price of vengeance had been high, and the battle was far from over. "Hold the line," she shouted to her soldiers, tears streaming down her face. We fight for him. We fight for Zenthra. With renewed determination, Lyra rallied her troops, her heart aching for the loss she had suffered. They would not let his sacrifice be in vain. They would fight until the end, for freedom, for vengeance, and for the love they shared. The final stand. The battlefield was a sea of chaos, filled with the sounds of clashing metal and the cries of warriors. Lyra stood tall among her soldiers, her heart heavy with the weight of loss. Alex's absence felt like a void, but she knew she had to push through. The Zenthrians needed their leader, and she would not falter. "Regroup," she shouted, rallying her troops. "We've faced the worst, and we will not back down now. For Alex, for Zenthra." Her words ignited a fire in their hearts. The Zenthrians, inspired by Lyra's courage and their shared grief, pushed forward with renewed determination. They formed a line, standing shoulder to shoulder, ready to face whatever the Raxans had left. The remaining Raxan forces were regrouping, their faces twisted with rage and desperation. Lyra could see their commander's death had rattled them. They were no longer the formidable foe they had once been. They were now a wounded beast fighting for survival. As the Zenthrian warriors readied themselves, Lyra took a deep breath, remembering Alex's laughter and the promise they had made to each other. She could almost hear him whispering encouragement in her ear. Suddenly, the ground shook as a massive Raxan warship descended from the sky, its dark silhouette blocking out the sun. It hovered ominously above the battlefield, casting a shadow over the Zenthrians. Fear rippled through the ranks, but Lyra knew they could not let it break their spirit. "Listen to me," she cried, raising her sword high. "They think we are weak. They think they can intimidate us. But we are Zenthrians. We will fight until our last breath." The soldiers echoed her words, their voices rising in a unified battle cry. Lyra could feel the strength in their determination, a fierce bond that propelled them forward. The Raxan warship opened fire, raining down energy blasts that scorched the earth around them. Lyra ducked and dodged, her instincts kicking in as she moved among her soldiers, encouraging them to hold their ground. "Advance," Lyra commanded, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We will not let fear defeat us." With a roar, the Zenthrians charged toward the Raxan warship, their weapons raised high. The enemy fire was relentless, but they pressed on, undeterred by the blasts that exploded around them. Lyra fought her way through the battlefield, leading the charge with unwavering resolve. She could see the fear in the Raxan soldiers' eyes as they faced the fury of her people. This was their moment. This was for Alex and all those who had fallen. As they closed in on the warship, Lyra spotted a hatch opening. A group of heavily armed Raxan elite soldiers emerged, their faces twisted with hatred. They prepared to fire, but Lyra was quicker. She leaped into action, her sword cutting through the air as she engaged them in fierce combat. One by one, she took them down, her movements fluid and precise. Each strike was fueled by her desire for vengeance, each victory a tribute to Alex's memory. The Zenthrian soldiers followed her lead, their spirits ignited by her courage. "Push forward," Lyra shouted, feeling the tide turn in their favor. The Raxan soldiers were retreating, their morale shattered by the fierce resistance. Suddenly, the ground shook violently as the Raxan warship began to malfunction. Sparks flew and alarms blared as the ship struggled to remain airborne. Lyra watched in awe as the vessel began to descend, smoke billowing from its engines. "Now's our chance," Lyra yelled. "Let's finish this." The Zenthrians surged forward, rushing toward the warship as it crash-landed with a thunderous roar. Lyra led the charge, her heart pounding in her chest. They would not let this opportunity slip away. As they approached the downed warship, Lyra felt a mix of fear and excitement. She could see the remaining Raxan soldiers scrambling to regroup, their fear palpable. They were cornered, and Lyra intended to finish what had been started.